and this is special coverage of a severe extreme weather event that has hit the upper North Island in the past couple of days. Chris Hipkins is with us now for the very latest. Prime Minister, thank you for being with us. Let's start with the Mayoral Relief Fund and the funding that central government is providing to help here. There are a lot of people who are in need. Is anyone who's not insured or anyone who doesn't have a place to go, do they have a place to go? Are you providing extra support to make sure everyone's got a roof over their head?
Absolutely. Look, anyone who is needing accommodation assistance, and at the moment we're supporting about just under 350 people right as of this moment, can call 0800 22 22 00, and there's a team there who will make sure that people have a roof over their head. People who are needing support for other things, you know, that immediate response support, can contact the Welfare Assistance line through MSD. That's 0800 400 100. Central government agencies are all ready to go to help and to provide support. And of course, we're doing everything we can to support the local response as well.
Okay. Are you aware of issues with getting accommodation? We've spoken to a family this morning in West Auckland who say that the motel that they have booked into, they have to leave tonight. Their house has been flooded. It's unsanitary. They can't live there. They can't stay there. They're going to have to leave their accommodation tonight and find somewhere else. What should people like that do?
They should call the 0800 number so that we can make sure we're matching them up with the support that's available. We have got a team working on this, and of course we know that there's lots of local responses popping up organically within the local community as well. But that 0800 number is the best place to go for central coordination of those sorts of issues.
Simon Bridges on the show this morning said that some businesses, because of the expense of COVID, etc., are running the tankers on empty and actually aren't insured. And he's worried about these businesses, also those who will have to wait a long time with cash flow issues to get payments from insurance. Will government look at helping these types of cases?
Look, Dr Clark, the Minister for Commerce, has already been in touch with the insurance companies to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make that process as quick and as fast as possible. We have been regularly engaging with local business leaders. The Minister of Finance and the Minister for Small Business had meetings with them yesterday. Those will continue over the next few days so that we can support them through. The Mayoral Relief Fund, which you've already mentioned, we've put some seed funding into that. Tomorrow, Cabinet will be having a conversation about putting an additional substantive sum of money into that fund. We've put as much in as we can do without a further Cabinet decision, but that will happen tomorrow.
Okay. What is your message to both businesses who are uninsured and to households who are uninsured and to renters who don't have contents insurance? What is central government's line at the moment? Is it, we will help you, or is it, I'm sorry, but you may be on your own?
Look, my message to people is, you should have insurance, but for those who are uninsured, that's not a message that they necessarily want to hear right now. They're dealing with an emergency situation. So my message to them is get in touch with those 0800 numbers so that you're accessing the support that is available. There is support available for emergency accommodation. There's support available to deal with some of those other immediate needs that households, that businesses will be dealing with right at the moment.
But beyond that, it's it's not something you're considering.
Look, in an emergency situation like this, you have to keep looking at everything on a day-by-day basis. Right now, we're focused on getting Auckland through the next couple of days. We know that there's more weather coming, and it's hopefully a bit of respite today. But then we know in the days that are following this, there's more heavy weather, heavy rain likely. And as a result, we've really got to focus on just getting people safe, making sure they're accommodated for this period, making sure that we're dealing with the immediate issues that arise, and supporting the local response.
Absolutely. Why was a civil defence message not sent to Aucklanders on Friday?
The decision around sending those messages, again, rests with the local response. I understand that they did make use of that last night, and of course it's available to them. There'll be an opportunity to review in the fullness of time that first sort of 24 to 48 hour period to see what lessons can be captured from that. I don't want to get into that right now because the teams who will respond to that and answer questions about what happened in that 24-hour period need to be focused right now on dealing with the next 24 24 to 48 hours. In due course, once we're through the emergency response, I think we will need to have a proper review of exactly what happened and how that could be improved.
OK, which would indicate some things obviously went wrong. Wayne Brown's response, do you think it was adequate?
Look, that's not for me to judge. I'm sure Aucklanders will have a view on that. Clearly, they have indicated that they think communications could have been better, particularly in that 24-hour period.
What do you think?
We've provided with them some senior communication support, which we've sent up from Wellington, so that we can improve that for this next part of the response.
OK, did he ask for that? Did Wayne Brown ask for some comm support, or did you provide that?
Yes, he did, and my conversations with him over the weekend, he indicated he'd like some more senior emergency response experience to be fed into the team, so we've sent up the Director of Emergency Response from Nema. He also asked for some additional comms support, so we've sent up the Director of Comms from Nema to make sure that we've got people on the ground there who can provide the sort of support that they are asking for.
OK. When did your government first try to contact Wayne Brown on Friday? Do you know what time? And how long between when you tried to get hold of him and when you heard from him?
My understanding is that the Minister for Emergency Management was in regular contact with Wayne Brown from sort of late afternoon, early evening onwards. You know, we've been ready, we were ready and willing and offering whatever support was required.
And that request was answered or not answered, and in what way?
Well, obviously, once the local state of emergency was declared, that meant that we could then step in and offer a lot more additional support, which we did. And so we had our emergency response underway within an hour or so of that local state of emergency being declared.
But there was no issue with actually getting hold of him or getting hold of his office. Your government had open lines of communication all afternoon, all evening.
My understanding from both of them is that the Mayor and the Minister were in regular contact. OK.
Auckland Emergency Management had issues with their communications in terms of social media to keep people informed, but also waka kotahi. And last week on this program, we had a bit of a discussion about communication staff and the increase in comm staff across government agencies. Do you feel let down by the fact that waka kotahi went silent on Friday night and did their final post at 7:30 p.m. as motorways were turning into rivers?
Look, I think they clearly underestimated the situation that they were dealing with. They did log off at around 7:30. The Minister, Michael Wood, as soon as he became aware of that, was in touch with them, and then they went back into the office and they logged back on again.
How do you feel about that?
They made an error there, and it was an error that was quickly fixed.
Yeah, but given how you leapt to their defence last week, how do you personally feel about the fact that during what is turning out to be one of the worst weather events that we have ever seen in this country, they logged off at 7:30?
Yeah, look, of course I'm not happy about that. I don't think the Minister was happy about that either, and made it very clear to them that we expected them to be back online and providing regular updates, and they did do that. But yes, they shouldn't have logged off. As soon as the government became aware that that's what they had done, we intervened and we fixed it.
Flood-prone areas have been hit hard by a lot of this flooding. Areas that we would have expected to have been hit hard, obviously, because the council tells us that they're in flood-prone areas or could be affected by floods, 1 in 100-year floods, that kind of thing. Are you, as a government, going to look at where we're building houses, and will you look at land that government has purchased to build houses on or to allow developments? Are you going to review now, given after this event, whether houses should go there? In the fullness of time, I think we absolutely need to do that. Now, that hasn't been a focus for me in the last 48 hours and probably won't be in the next 48 hours because we've got to support people through the here and now, what's immediately in front of them. But yes, we have to accept that we're going to see more of these types of extreme weather events, and therefore we need to make sure we are prepared and that we are as resilient as possible. And that will include looking at things like where we're building, whether it's houses or businesses, where we are building, and it will include looking at things like infrastructure to make sure that we're getting that right, to make sure we're as resilient as we can be. Yeah, was it good enough that motorways and our Auckland airport, critical infrastructure like that, flooded?
Oh, I think you have to look at this in the context of never before on record have we seen the scale of the downpour that happened in just a few short hours. This was an unprecedented event. I think no matter how good the infrastructure, I think even the best infrastructure would be struggling under that kind of extreme weather. The key thing that we've got to do, though, is look at, okay, were there things that we could have been better prepared for? Were there particular systemic weaknesses that we can rectify so that if it happens again, we're better prepared for that? So there'll be plenty of opportunity to do that. But right here and now, we've just got to make sure we're supporting people through this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're in Wellington, obviously, Prime Minister. Have you heard from your old boss? I know her house flooded last time there was flooding in Auckland.
Yes, they did have some flooding, so I have been in contact. She's given me a few updates and a few words of support from the sidelines. But you know, like all of our Auckland MPs, they're on the ground supporting their local communities at the moment and just making sure that their local residents are getting access to all of the support that they need to get through this.
All right, Chris Hipkins, thanks very much for your time, Prime Minister Chris Hipkins. And tonight, Newshub at 6 will reveal its first polling in the battle of the Chris's, Hipkins versus Luxon. That poll tonight, Newshub live at 6 p.m. here on 3.